Hello everybody, this is Winter Solstice 841 Solstice 25, and this is a bit of a thing I'm kind of starting. Now, it's still kind of work in progress, but yeah, it is a thing being made. It's basically the Temple of Ionites, but there's a bit of a twist to it. You're probably staring it right in the face right now. If you can't guess it, well, I guess let me elaborate. I want to make this a bit of a survival games map. So I've seen people be like, this should be made into a survival games map or something like that. And I was thinking, people want this as a survival games map? What would all be needed for that to be the case? And if it was to be made into such a map, shouldn't there be more places to go to? Well, both of those traits of thought were accurate. So I've been trying to situate more places to kind of go to and directions to go through, to say. Like, this would be the start off bit with like all the chests and stuff here. Now, what I don't know is if, no, I don't know how people normally set these up, so I have to, like, do it, I've sort of just been situating it as I go, like, surely, however it is a server actually uses chests and such, like, surely they could set it themselves to work however, and even set all the selective locations for a chest to appear at, and as well as, like, the kind of stuff that can appear in the chest. Like, I don't know exactly how that's supposed to work. Like, personally, I never really situated that sort of thing. But I do know enough to know the kinds of things people want in a PvP map, as someone who's actually kind of built has, or attempted to build a survival games map before, and has actually had like a bit of feedback on it. Like, apparently what I did wrong previously for a survival games map was it was too flat at the spawn, but everywhere else was just fine, apparently. Like, I was on the right track, and I've heard enough about map making to know this is actually a pretty decent start, but there is a few things that would need some changing for it to be a little more adequate, more appropriate for an actual survival games PvP thing. Like, by all means, there are a few decent starts, like, there is a few pillars and stuff you could probably take some light cover around, and there's a few this and that, but I've added my own few small additions since I made this, and, there's a few more ways to kind of go, like, you can shortcut your way down here into this water, and negate most of the fall damage. You can actually jump off this now. I removed basically majority of the barrier blocks, and that in turn opens the possibility of like even being like say knocked off to here. So you have good armor, you'll probably still survive, and there's actually ways to kind of find your way back in. Like there's a few steps here and there. Then if you go more toward like this side and such, on certain pillars going up to as like supports to the walkway, there is ladders, and you could just sort of sneak back into the fight and just like ambush someone passing through or something. So yeah, I've been working up a series of ideas. I've also added some extra areas to kind of pass through inside to out. Now, I am also working up more ideas for like stuff to add on to this. Like I want maybe like something like a little bigger out here and maybe up front or back or something. Just to give you a little more to kind of go about in the map. And just suddenly I'm getting a bit too laggy. I think it's because of my render distance, and I haven't actually gone very far outside of this in a while. Like, I've cleared out a ton of area about this so I can reevaluate how I'm situating some of this. And like logically, this is very flat. Now that's something I kind of want to avoid being a thing. And a lot of people who have seen Captain Sparkles' video of the Temple of Ionite, they would see this dark spot and be like, it's a chest, it's not a chest. It's and it is actually physically possible to scale all the way out this way, but there is no chests out here. So just as a safety thing for anyone that kind of desperate, there is a way back in. Now, I did not do much to the back, but I am going to do something to the back. As you can see here, I intend to add some stuff. This is a bit of a start. I haven't fully decided yet, but I would like to add some stuff for sure. I've just been planning out a bit of this and a bit of that as I go. If it's a little grindy at the time, I'll take a step back away from it if I see it fit. I've added more ways to kind of work your way to the top of this, the temple on top of it. Like, you could go up here and sort of ladder your way up, and you can just sort of like sneak on people that way, and I think that'd be pretty cool. I've added a little more pizzazz up here in turn to make it a little more interesting, a little more coverage and such. But of course it's going to need some more works yet. It's just kind of getting there, really. There's some parkour in case someone wants to like travel their way up on top of these, maybe like scope some people or something, snipe them to say with their bow, and maybe there's a chest or something, I don't know. I really think that's up to the eyes of the holder, really. I'd like to situate more ways to and from various locations. I'd like to add in more additional masses of end stone to sort of provide more interest into the terrain feature of this. Like, realistically, there isn't actually very much terrain to say to this build as is, but that can be fixed with like a few like hills or something, or maybe a few twists and bends of land mass about the map. I think that'd be pretty cool. I'm definitely looking forward to trying some stuff with that. Um, as you've seen at the beginning, there is some parkour stuff started up. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to try to get this to going to. I might try to overlap it over here or something. Oh, and so, it's also possible to get on top of this statue now. Like, if you are like decent with parkour, or at least like a decent climber and such of Minecraft, you can totally pull it off. And as a note with how I removed the barrier blocks, I've also made it possible to climb your way back out. I might try tossing something in the middle of this to try to like get at, like maybe like a small little sculpture or something, and maybe I'll have like a chest. I have no idea. I removed, I thought I had a chest here for the temple donations. It might have actually just been that. I could be mistaken. I left the original of the chests here with the build information. I haven't quite removed those yet. I think I've also removed the extra items accessibility. I could be mistaken. I'll have to double check it, but yeah. At this time being, this is basically how this map is looking. I've added these beams here for like a sneaky crossing over from one side to the other without taking these like longer routes. Say someone wants like a shorter route and like a more direct or sneaky or something, they'll like just like sprint, jump across here and be like pow pow pow. Ah, yeah, I think it's turning out pretty cool so far. I'm gonna need a few more changes to various spots to make it a little more interesting because there is such thing as two flats, and when it comes to PvP, the last thing you want is flat terrain, because if it's too flat, then no one's gonna be able to like work their way to an upper hand, no one's gonna be at a disadvantage, and there's a more higher chance of like people just like straight up killing each other, and the last thing we want is a draw. So yeah, that's the majority of my thoughts on what I need to really kind of go through. And I'm trying to think if there's any other odd changes that I made. Let me think. I don't think so. It looks about the same to me. So yeah, that's basically everything that's new with it so far. Oh yeah, and there's also some ladders up in there and a few sneakier spots to kind of ambush players as you get about. Like, there's this here to sort of like sneak your way up on here, and you can just sort of, hang on a sec. If you're a daring player or you're pretty good or something, you could do stuff like this. You could just like ambush people like this, although you don't want to land on this side of things. I feel like I had a ladder somewhere else. And that can't be made from here. So yeah, if you basically get right there, you're screwed. Um, there's ladders here, there's ladders really everywhere. It's like one of those spots where it's like... Or did I just miss that one? I'm not sure. I feel like there was a reason for this. Oh right, that's in case if you get onto the fence and just like work your way over to this, and you can just sort of sneak down here more. Then there's like sneaking to this side and down here and over here and pow. So yeah, there's a lot of changes I've been working over, I've been looking over. I might actually disable the teleportation stuff, and it'll just be sort of like a little hideaway location. Or I might turn them into huts. So if you haven't seen those locations yet, yeah, they're actually teleportation. It's actually the easy travel back and forth versus the lengthy walkways with teleporters. I was really hoping to see someone just like take those things and be like, oh my god, I really need to take this long freaking way to get here. And then it's just like, oh, there's an easy shortcut way. So yeah, I've been building some of this with like a sense of humor. Trying to think, was there any other special PvP related additions? I can't think of any offhand. Well, for the parkour area, there is like this stuff where you could actually fall through and probably just like ambush someone below. And this is a bit of like a twist, and you probably should mind your head in certain spots. But other than that, I don't think very many people would mess up too badly right there. Um, I added these around these exits or holes in the roof with the walkways, so people who are just sort of like hiding about everywhere could just like get that coverage. You can get up from there, or you could just parkour off of that thing's nose, or you could just like climb up that and jump back in or something. So yeah, there's a number of ways to basically get everywhere. I'm trying my best to sort of like situate that a little better. And yeah, there's a number of things to kind of add. But yeah, there's a number of ways to and from like basically everywhere. Okay, so let me tell you a bit about trying to landscape. You don't want the landscape to be too plain, but you don't want it to be too rough. I've been trying to smooth it out little by little, but it's a little hard. By all means, this needs a little work. This is too plain. This is just a tad too rough in certain spots. I'm probably going to have to sort of like tear up a bunch of stuff and just like flatten some of it out. But over here, which is like the left side of it, like assuming that's the front, this is the back, left side of it, I'm working on a sort of area, like, I realized after I released the Temple of Ionite map that I didn't make, a grave for Captain Capsize, and I feel really bad for that. So I've been trying to figure out something that sort of situates for over here to sort of make up for that. So I was thinking a tower. There's likely going to be some water. Yeah. I actually tried recording this before, but I made that part a little too long. Like, let me think. 30 minutes, 15 gigabytes. That's, and then just like, as soon as I was trying to like add anything else to my recording, just like frame rate dropped dramatically. It was insane. I was like, why is this so bad? And I realized, whoa. Anyways, so yeah, this is PvP map making with Solstice. This is gonna be a tower for Captain Capsize. It's gonna like have water and crazy designs based on that kind of outside color scheme. I want to also add a few more things to this kinda and more structures about to sort of like bring a balance, and I want sort of like a bridge going from the top of this to like the top of that, perhaps. Or maybe I'll set something up over there would be alright. Let me just sort of take a quick peek to try to figure out how that could work. Something about trying to cross inside to outside to inside or inside to outside just sort of messes with my frame rate, I noticed. So something I could do is I could try to set something through here and just like go straight through the wall or something and make a new exit of sorts. I think that would be alright, and it would also add something else to kind of go to from here. Like at this moment it's either that way or that way, and then there's down there, or up there, or through there, and there, and then straight through there, and it's just all these long pathways to... It's just all these long pathways. I think something needs to be a little more different. There needs to be other places to kind of go to, more land masses. So I've been kind of working toward that, starting with the outside, and then I would like to try to add more landmass on the inside, and that will in turn add more interest of like places to go to. And this is a bit of my start to that, but it's a little rugged yet. Like, this needs to be flattened out a little more, a little more smooth. Like, some people are probably thinking, heck yeah, it needs to be more smooth. There's too many lumps and stuff. It needs to be more symmetrical, or plain and pure or something. Plain and pure like that is actually a little too much. Like, when you do PvP, you usually want some of these extra, like, little edges and such to, like, take, say, a bow shot, or, like, take that extra small escape from, like, getting hit with a sword and just, like, retaliating. So it makes it a little more interesting. And so if it's, like, too clean, it's, too easy to get spotted. It's just a lot better this way in general for play usage, which is part of why it's actually like so rugged. If otherwise, I wouldn't normally make it extremely rugged, but some ruggedness is kind of necessary. It makes more interest. It's good for high grounds, low ground advantages. It's good for natural terrain protection. Something you want to avoid is patterns when it comes to terrain, otherwise it'll look too man-made. Alright, to some degree I'm successfully making this a little more smooth on the eyes. Like, if you like look at it the right way, you can notice a little more of like a curve feel where it feels like it sort of flows a little better. Now, when you're actually on it, it's gonna feel a little more rugged, but believe me, there's a bit of a certain flow to it, more of a smoothness, more noticeable in some areas than others, like say this one. Like, that's definitely a lot smoother. Like, of course, to make it more natural, it needs to still retain some of that random stature of design. Maybe punch a bit of that out first. Random stature of design, while it's still sort of going in a direction. Punch that out also. And in turn, it'll retain its identity as landscaping. So I have not quite gone further with this quite yet, but I am brainstorming a bit. I swear this is darker or something. It's just my imagination. Where's my screen? Maybe my screen is darker? I have no idea. So yeah, I'm gonna work up some ideas for this now. But first, let's see what kinds of materials we could be using more toward this. Like, I know I want to use sort of like this kind of a color scheme just to make sure it matches with that more. In fact, let's actually get a better, closer look at this. Okay, prismarine, that's actually, we have the prismarine on us, but not the prismarine brick. We could probably do without cobblestone wall. Like, it's an awesome thing, but we don't need it for this particular thing, or at least not yet. Let's see, anything else we were missing? We could probably add white. That'll add some... I don't want to break that. Let's just grab snow. Because if I break that, it's going to cause some lighting updates, and it's going to lag me just a tad bit at the very least. But it's much worse if you're doing it from above, and it's just like really low frame rate for like the next 5-10 seconds. So that's always like something to kind of keep an eye out for. If it's avoidable, you might want to consider it. Okay, so confirmed. I do want some more light in this. Let's just start with this for now. Oh, didn't mean to break that. We'll start with a circle, because, you know, circles are true identity of, like, great building. Like, realistically, circles are ideally the harder of shapes to perform in a blocky game, because it's a thing made of pixels. You can literally find the corner of a circle in this game. Or technically anything digital, but in a game like this, it's more apparent because it's like you're stepping on pixels. So, good luck with that. But, yeah. I think I want something a little more, out there. So, let's try something of this sort. Just sort of circles on my circles. Something that might be a good call is to include gold in this, actually. Like, although gold is a troublesome block to work with, it is also true that capsize likes gold, so we need to keep that in mind. It's basically respectful to dead people, so we need to put it into consideration. We gotta have a big heart, you guys. We have to have a big heart. Let's see. Gold. I don't think I'm gonna use this block soon. How to think how to incorporate this. Could be like gold coins in the corners or something. Maybe is that too much? I don't think so. Could be too solid for the gold. That could be true. I'm not sure yet. I really need to look this over a bit as I go along. Ooh, something else I could do. I wasn't quite sure what to fill this in with. I just knew I wanted some kind of pit of light here. And something. What I could do is this. Just have the brightest ring of gold right here. I think that's so right and decent. I feel like it doesn't stand out quite enough. Or at the very least, these lights stand out too much. So I'm going to resolve that. We're going to set the lights in one more, out one more. And that will basically make them invisible from above. And then we can just fill this in with gold. And it's basically just all gold visible from above. It also gives this illusion like there's more gold than that down there. The only time you can see through it is if you're like right at it and like from across. Other than that, you're not gonna notice it. You're not gonna notice it from here, and there's gonna be walls about, so you're not gonna just like peek right through the walls or something. Like that would be silly, peeking through the walls, really. Okay, let's should probably actually tone down the gold just a bit. In a sense, this brings out its contrast, but it also will bring out sort of like a nulling of its tone. Like, by all means, the saturation of these are actually pretty decent, but it's also kind of more earthy tone-ish of like a purple, so it also sort of like tones down colors right by it to some degree, which can also make them a little more bearable to look at. I think this is looking pretty cool so far, but it still needs a few sorts of touches. Let's remove this. I know of some stuff I will want to switch about in this scenario. Let's try this out. It's sort of almost looking like some interesting sort of abstract arts-ish. Almost kind of reminds me of those Chuck Close portrait things. Like, if you haven't ever seen one, you should probably just like type it into Google right now. They're really cool looking. Like, you have like probably 40 seconds at that as I'm like switching through blocks. That's basically as much time as needed to actually look one up. Actually cut the corners. I know this is a pretty symmetrical thing I have going on, but yeah. I'm still not going to make the landscape any cleaner looking. Some of you probably question my PvP enthusiasm with how much of a builder I actually am. Like, sure, I may like to make things more colorful, more elaborate, and this and that, but trust me, you guys, I am very much a PvP enthusiast in my own right. Like, I have my Hunter of Shadows suit on. This is not like armor, this isn't really a texture pack, this is actually my skin. So, recently, I've discovered the truer, more awesome values, or I should say I've rediscovered the truer, more awesome values of having the skin system the way it is currently. You can like pretty much wear two faces if you wanted in 1.8. You can be like, well, I think I'll use this one today. For those unaware, I'm also a bit of a skin maker. Like, I don't make skins often, but I do enjoy making Minecraft skins. I usually make them for myself, but on occasion, like, a friend will have me make something for them. I haven't gotten very many skin requests in quite a while though. Let me think. How does that look? Nope. That's a little much. A little too much. Needs more flavor. Like it needs to pick up on elevation. But yeah, I really do enjoy like PvP stuff. I just don't really have the practice of it. Mostly because I have been shifting about here and there IRL, so I've just been usually sticking a little more close to like building versus like going and killing and all this and hunting and so on and so forth. So some of the like more specific like strategies like use this over this I'm a little more new to, but yeah, I'm not terribly new to the point where I can't sort out the ideas of like PvP needs. Let me just do a bit more of this. Ah. I think that looks pretty cool. Like that would be pretty cool to look down at. If like you have like a glass floor or something. Like that'd be pretty friggin' neat. I would be most pleased to look down at this. I think this is probably about the point where I could say that I could now start setting some of this up higher. Like set up some higher up wall to sort of encase this with. And I definitely agree with myself on the idea that it needs to have like some kind of glass floor. A glass floor would be really cool for this. Just like you look down and you see all this crazy intricate design down. It'd be like, whoa. Like it makes your fights probably feel a little more significant or something, like here is the last stand or something. Just my chair. There we are. And we can actually break these out. Kind of lazy mousing this. If you're unfamiliar, sometimes I like to do a bit of this thing where to try to like place more efficiently, I will like try not to move my mouse quite as much, and I'll just sort of like guide my my very pathing. It's a bit of a lazier thing to do, but it is something I kind of like to do from time to time. It's not exactly like a super bad habit, but it's one of those things that it's like, you should probably get out of it eventually. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I would want to do to this? I kinda can think of something. Maybe not necessarily with this, but maybe with this. No, actually, this would actually go a little better for this. Just sort of fill in a few of these nooks and crannies. Not necessarily all of them, but a few of them for sure. Wait, did I get that one? No, I didn't. I got you. as a builder, I want there to be things to look at. By all means, like, it's not actually fully necessary. You just need a decent map to roam around on, but I would like there for to be more things to kind of look at and more places to go to. And that's also, and like for places to go to, that's like a big thing. If you don't have very many places to go to, it'll get kind of dull after a while, and it's like, I've been here so many times, or this is a bad spot, or this is always a bad location. I wish there was something that make up for this or something. Like, I like to find a more even terms or like sets a more subtle advantage or something that people might not necessarily catch. Maybe setting snow in these, I think that'd be cool. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Yeah, this is looking more and more like the inside of someplace freaking crazy epic. Like, you guys basically just watched me make this on camera. Like, it's not often I actually get this kind of intricate on camera. Of like this kind of proportion, but you just did. You just watched it. Let's see, how does this look? That might be cool. Just a little. So cool it's snow. And that's a terrible pun, I'm sorry. Let's be honest, snow is actually pretty cold. I didn't get it that time. I did previously. I'll get you. Anyway. So I think this is probably where I would like to stop for now. I will work on this a little bit more off camera. I don't want to work on it too much, but I want it to be enough to be somewhere more significant to kind of like start with versus like starting a little more fresh or something. And like show you a little more of where I start at with other kinds of things versus something I've shown before. And it'll keep being a little more interesting versus, okay, I've seen this kind of move before. But yeah, I think that'll do for now, and I think this would be a pretty cool looking screenshot for DeviantArt. Yeah, I think I'll just come back to this a little later. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Hope you had a good day. And bye-bye.